You got to be ready to answer your differentiator, because I'm sure they're going to ask you what makes you different. But I'm sure you watch enough Shark Tank to already be on top of this thing. I'm not going to coach you from that perspective, but I am extremely, beyond extremely proud of you and so excited for you, and cannot wait to support you in this aspect. You doing it, Pooh?
Thank you. And I'm gonna tell them, one thing that do make us different is Incredible Minds is gonna be an IT staffing agency where all of our staff have an IT background. That way we understand our candidates and our clients, both ends of the pain points, and we can speak their language, so that when we're providing, when we're standing before our clients, for our candidates, we can, have that full understanding.
And you're saying that their internal staff all have IT backgrounds. Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's awesome. And let me stretch your mind a little bit beyond that. What other differentiators do you have?
We strive to place people where they belong instead of where they fit.
That's a
and
good
how that
tagline.
looks. Huh?
That's a good tagline.
Thank you. And that's what I tell my candidates, placing someone where they fit means you go into the client, you're finding out what skills they need, and then you go find that from someone and you get them placed. But placing someone where they belong, you want to find out what's the culture of the client, the skills, and then go to the candidate and see, does this company have the benefits you're looking for? You want to make sure that when you place someone, it's a long-term relationship and not just a sit in place.
Okay. What's your third one?
We the bomb.
I like that too. But you gotta have a third one. What if they reject both of those?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
What if they reject them? And the only reason why I say what if they reject them is just, how do I say this? I feel like you're gonna get something similar from every staffing agency,
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to think about fast food for a second. Let's not talk about staffing. Let's talk about fast food, because the majority of the fast food chains out here, fast food, all sell burgers or some type of burger, right? So, and we're only talking about burger shops. We're talking about McDonald's, Burger King, Checkers, Wendy's, Jack in the Box. I think they sell burgers. Carl Jr.'s. All of them sell burgers, but yet it's something different about each of them. One has a special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions. One has real meat on a grill. One, I don't know all the burgers. I don't even eat meat, honestly, so I couldn't even tell you what all of them are, but I know they're different. And so all of them serve burgers. All of your competitors are doing staffing. All of your competitors are saying that they're finding quality staff. All of your competitors are saying that they're getting the right match. All of your competitors are saying they're the bomb. You know what I'm saying? And so I want to pull the layers back a little bit more. I feel like those are great, but they're more surface differentiators and not, okay, this is what sets me apart. And trust me, this question is going to be asked by employers all the time. And you have to understand that they're asking staffing agencies this all the time. And they're getting the same exact response all the time. So that's why I'm pushing you out your comfort zone now. What sets your company apart? And it should have to do with the process. It should have to do with something in regards to the process, or how you deliver your services, or your pricing structure, or it's got to be something like that. But I hope I didn't hurt your feelings, huh?
Oh, nah, I'm tough.
Okay, cool.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever heard this is business, nothing's personal?
Yes, I have. But I got a lady in my clinic. Anytime I go through things with her, she won't come back for a month because she feels like I'm being hard on her when I'm actually just, so I have to be, I try to be sensitive to that. So that's the only reason why I said that.
Oh no, I said it. I asked you that because I always ask people, have you ever heard of that saying, this is business, nothing personal? They're like, yeah. I said, well, everything's personal with us because
Okay.
it's personal. We take it personal to make sure you you reach your goals and aspirations. So much as me being the founder and CEO of Incredible Minds, I have a well-rounded background in being an IT instructor, IT trainer, IT manager, and any of the titles that you could name. So the training program that we have comes from not just textbook, but also live experience and exposure from the CEO themselves and others.
So you offer a training program. That's one of your differentiators. I'm telling you, everything you're saying is great, but when you're talking to an employer and a candidate, when you're talking to a candidate, that's perfect. But when you're telling the employer, I don't know if that's gonna fly.
Okay.
I want you to look at process. It's got to be something either related to your process. It's got to be something related to maybe your niche market being super specific, or it's got to be, I don't know, it's got to be more like, think about it. All burger stops, they all serve burgers, every last one of them. And they all talk about they deliver excellent customer service. We know that's not true, but whatever. Right? But what really sets them apart is not the service. You do not hear anybody say, I'm going to McDonald's over Burger King because the service is better. Ever. Or vice versa. You typically hear, I'm going to Burger King because I love this item and the way it's made. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So your differentiator has to be something that an employer maybe has not heard before or has not heard often. So
you know what I'm gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna write this question down, and then I'm gonna when I have my next meeting, I'm gonna get some advice.
Okay. Well, we're gonna break it down just a little bit more because you're not the only person, and I opened up a can of worms. So I'm sure everybody on here is like, wait, what's my differentiator? What sets me apart? How do I figure it out? Well, D, don't wait. Don't just tell Ebony and not me. I'm sure that's what people are saying in their mind.
I don't blame them.
So when we start talking about your differentiator and we start talking about your service, this is now more about breaking your services down and saying, okay, I offer recruiting and this is how we do it. You're going to maybe even have to name your name a different name in order for it to sound different. And hear me out with that. Staffing is the same thing for the most part as RPO, which is the same thing for the most part as temp staffing, which is the same thing as MS. It's like they're all the same thing, named something different. And they were able to get popular because a whole bunch of people decided that they would agree with that term. And now it's a live service that people are aware of. You can make services up. You can add services onto your staffing. So an example of a differentiator would be every person that comes through everybody we present is certified. That could be a differentiator. Everyone goes through 40 hours of continuing education through our staffing agency. That might be a differentiator. Our process, we use a custom skills assessment that allows us to see when people are going to quit, when they're going to leave, or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I'm making stuff up on my ass. But I want to give you examples of what a differentiator is. What sets you apart. Otherwise, the things you're saying, while I feel like they're all extremely important, and to some people they are going to be important, it's not going to be the key differentiator to make them want to come with you over somebody else potentially. I'm speaking more on the employer side than I am on the candidate side, because on the candidate side, it may be those things are important, and that those are great selling points. But the person who signs the contract is the person who ultimately pays the bill. And that's the person that you've got to be able to establish a relationship with and to be able to show them why they should choose you over the other 50 people that are calling. 1, 2, not just why they should choose you over the other 50 people, but why should they stop using the current agency they're with and give them to you? Like, these are all the things they're asking in their head. What sets you apart? This is when you dive into your business at a different level. This is where you go into your business and you say, We play, everybody else is doing this, but we do this way. So that's where I want you thinking about your differentiator. What actually sets you apart? You're a burger shop right now, but you haven't defined yourself as a Wendy's, Checkers, or Carl's, or McDonald's, or anything like that, because you haven't pulled out your secret sauce yet. Now, what are you thinking? Tell me everything that's on your mind.
That makes sense. Kind of, it's basically like taking a deep dive into your business to see why it's the shit,
Exactly.
So I get it. And I thank you for that, because I don't want to get stuck with that, and be looking crazy. It's kind of like the interview question. And I always say people have a hard time about the biggest question. And when I ask people on an interview that they have the hardest time with is when I say, tell me more about yourself. They stumble.
Yes. For me, mainly because I don't know if I should, how far should I go? I don't know, but I haven't interviewed in 20 years, I think, since 2010, 2011. So that's 10 years, 14 years, 15 years. but yeah, that is a hard question. And the hardest question for entrepreneurs is what sets you apart. And the hardest question for staffing agencies is that, because every last one of them say, well, we provide quality talent. I was like, okay, well, everybody say that. No, but we get people for the fit. Okay, well, everybody says that too. Well, what else you got? No, and so it boils down to services and prices. They want to know how your pricing is different, especially if you're in healthcare. If you're in IT, maybe not so much. It's more about the quality of talent, how you're finding that talent, how you're screening that talent, what's going to be the outcome of that. That's important. And that's where your differentiator is going to come in. And that's going to be what helps you get in the door. And the other thing is, and it's not just for you, Ebony, even though I think this is going to be great for what you got going on. But when you present your differentiator, you got to present it like it's fact. You can't present it like you testing it out to see if it makes sense. You got to present this thing like it is God factual. And that the person you're talking to, if they don't get it, they're going to be missing out. Which is true. That's why you pitch them to begin with. Whether you're pitching on the show or whether you're pitching to a client, your whole pitch is about how you are better. How them using you is a better choice and option for them and the candidates in the long run and short term. So you got to be strong with it. You've got to be confident with it. You've got to know it. You've got to feel it. You've got to come out of your employee self and go into your straight entrepreneur self. And you got to show up and show out. Every phone call that I make, I feel like I'm selling for my life. And let me explain that. Not necessarily like I'm selling, because people get scared by the word selling. But I'm not letting that person get off the line. Like, I am going to have a conversation with this person, and there's nothing that they're going to really say that's going to push me off the line. While they're talking to me, they could be telling me no a million times. And in my brain, I'm going to be thinking of all the other ways I can turn that no around into a yes or a maybe. Or at least let's get another phone call. Okay, well, can I at least send you an email? Like, my goal is to get that person on my calendar, or to get a signed contract, or to get a meeting, or whatever the goal is. And I am going to stop at nothing. Most people who are new to staffing, when someone says, I'm not interested, they say, okay, thank you. Mm-hmm. What? Mm-hmm. I'd be darned if I just dialed 200 people to get to this one phone call, and I'm just going to say thank you and hang up? No, that's definitely not happening. That's definitely not happening. I'm going to start asking way more questions now. No about what? What you say no about? I'm going to smile too. No about what? I ain't even say nothing yet. What you say no about? You know what I'm saying? That's how. And then they're like, no, I don't want to. I'm not interested in your service. Oh, what service am I offering?
Right.
Staffing. Well, I never said I was offering staffing services. I asked a totally different question. I'm sorry. Did we get was there a disconnect there? You know, and you just keep that conversation going.
Dee, can I ask you a question? This is Brenda. About what you said. You said, I mean, one of the differentiators you mentioned was that about pricing. But what do you mean exactly about that? Because I know we don't need to make our prices too low to accommodate them. You know, we have to stress what we're worth, and then kind of explain and show them what they can get for our prices. So what did you mean exactly about it being a differentiator?
Well, in healthcare right now, one of the big things is like just when you're reaching out to facilities, they're like, okay, how much you charge, right? And the thing is, I'm going to pull the layers back before I answer this fully. So the thing is two things. One, they're asking because people who don't know their value and who are just looking for the dollar have tainted the industry. Okay? And so they have tainted the industry so much that it has become commonplace for companies to be disrespectful to staffing agencies, especially on the healthcare side. Okay. And when I say disrespectful, I don't mean that in the way, I mean in how much you charge. Not even interested in anything, but what's the price? Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is COVID really messed things up because there are a lot of people who saw an opportunity and took advantage of the opportunity without trying to get support, right? And so that became something totally different as well. So before I answer the question, you need to understand their mentality, their why. We did it. We did it. It's not them, it's us. Us in the industry allowed them to feel and think that they can do or treat us in this way, that they can ask us what our markup is, that they can, because you can't go, nothing you got in your house right now, I can guarantee you, there's nothing in your home right now, probably 99% of the things you have in your life that you have purchased, you have no idea what the markup is.
Right.
You don't call Comcast and ask them what the markup is. You don't ask Wonder Bread what the markup is, or you don't go to Kroger or Publix or whatever. What business model do you go around telling people what your markup is? So
none of their business.
It's none of their business. So right off the break, we have already destroyed our business model and how we operate. And again, it's very important that you understand the why before you start thinking about, okay, how can I counter this? Okay. So now that you understand that it's the staffing agency's fault, we did this, we set this environment up. It's almost like, you know how when you was little, when you was young, you struggled. Then you have kids. You like, I'm not going to let my kids struggle. And then the moment you don't let them struggle, they end up being psychos, right? Because they can't handle nothing. Oh my God, they can't handle it because they didn't handle it. You know what I'm saying? We did too much.
Right.
Doing too much, not doing enough. Okay. So it's the same exact way. So now let's talk about that from a strategic perspective, because that is a strategy getting in the door, but it is all about understanding how you tie that into your services. Now, one thing you said that I think is important for everybody on this call to do and to know, and you got that very clearly, is that when you start the conversation of money, that conversation should start with your value.
That's right. That's what you taught me.
It's true. Now listen, when I sell people, now I'm back on the sales floor for Staffingpreneurs Academy because I'm growing our sales team again. Okay, so we've got 12 new salespeople going into training on February the 12th. So I'm with the 2 people now training them, preparing for that. And in our presentation, before we really start talking to people about money, depending on who I'm speaking to and what I'm hearing them say, I hardly ever tell them the price of my program. I say, let's jump on a call. Because I know when I jump on a call and I go down the list of the value that they get, when I do decide to give them the price, the first thing they're going to say is, okay, well, it's definitely worth the price. The question is, do I want to pay it and do I have it? Okay. So Staffing agencies in the healthcare space don't do that. They just send the pricing sheet, they send the sell sheet, they send the contract, and then they send it and wait for the employer to get back to them. They follow up a million times, right? Because first of all, the relationship wasn't established. And so let's start there before we even get to the pricing piece. Before I even want to talk to somebody about pricing, I've got to attempt to establish the relationship, or everything that I'm saying about pricing is not going to mean anything. And it's going to be a challenge because everybody else is doing the same thing. Pricing sheet, sales sheet, contract. Go ahead, don't call me. Everybody's doing the same thing. But in order for you to have a differentiator, you have to be the differentiator. So you have to show them from the beginning that you're different. How do you do that? You start off with this. Oh, I'm sorry. I definitely would feel more than comfortable with sending you our sales sheet, but our pricing sheet, we typically don't send that out until we have a discussion about what it is you're looking for exactly, or what challenges you're experiencing. Would you have an opportunity to jump on a call with me for about 15 minutes? I would love to hear a little bit more. They may say something like, well, I just need the pricing sheet. I get pricing from everyone every day. And I would say something, okay, no problem, Evelyn. I would say something like this. I understand you get that every day from everyone. That's what makes them all the same and what sets us apart. My goal today to you is to show you what sets us apart and what our true differentiator is. If we can't get a time to talk and really sit down, you're going to lump me in with every other lousy staffing agency that's out there, probably not giving you the service and the time that you want. But we're different, and I want to show you the value of what we do. Do you have 15 minutes on Wednesday where we can sit and connect and talk about this a little bit more? So you see, I'm pushing her. I'm already showing her I'm different. I'm showing her you're not about to lump me in with this crew. This crew is calling you about this and they're treating you this way. I'm already showing you I'm not them. So once you get to that point, then yes, it's easier to start talking about the value of your price, regardless of what that is. I know I took the long way around, Brenda. Just stay with me. I promise you. It's all going to come together. So now that you understand that and you've got them on the call, and now because they're going to still go back to it. How much you charge? They're going to go back to what's the price? And you're going to say, well, let me tell you what sets us apart. But so first of all, let me stop. You're not going to say that. You're going to go back and answer that with another question. So your job is to find out about them first before you start giving your services, because you don't even know what you're going to offer them until you understand where they are. They need to know that too. I would love to answer that question for you, but unfortunately, I don't even know what it is you need. That's why we're here. I want to learn a little bit more about what you all have going on, what type of challenges you all are experiencing, and that way I can give you a better understanding of if I can help you or not, right? If we're if we're the right fit, and then how I can help you if we are the right fit. Fair enough? And then they're going to say, okay, fair enough. And then they're going to start telling you some of the things. So then you got to have your questions ready. So tell me, how big is your staff? How big is your nursing staff? How often are your shifts unfilled? How many shifts do you have unfilled? I'm making stuff up, but I mean things that you would probably want to know. How many people do you hire in a month? When do you do? But I would look at my niche overview worksheet, because there are questions that they are asking all the time. You should be mirroring some of those questions, because they already thinking you're going to offer them staffing. They already think you're like everybody else. And even though you've gotten this far, they still thinking that you're like everyone else. So still in this moment, you have to show them that you're different. Still in this moment. So now they're telling you, you're asking questions, you're learning more about them, you're talking to them, you're engaging. Now you get to the point that says, okay, now I understand where you are. So let me just recap what I heard. Then you recap everything you heard. Okay. Then after you recap what you heard, then you go into, this is how I feel like I can support you. But before I tell you how I can support you, let me tell you how we're different. I've been talking about it. I've been showing you that my process is different, but I want to dive into the nitty gritty and show you how we're different. I'm going to share my screen. You're going to turn your screen on and pull your PowerPoint presentation out. And then you're going to tell them what sets you apart. Okay. And we just went through some of that with Ebony today. You're going to talk about the things that they need to hear. Oh, we talent, all the things Ebony said at first. Then you're going to get into your true differentiator, which your true differentiator is whatever this service program you have or pricing. Now let's talk about that service and pricing and what you're actually doing, because this goes back now to the original question that you asked. So when I don't want you to create pricing that's lower than what it needs to be, I want you to create a service that allows you to get paid the same amount that you would if it wasn't called staffing.
Oh, what do you mean by that? Clarify a little bit.
It should still be staffing. Just call it baffing, laughing, daffing, taffing,
call it something
waffing,
else. Okay.
affing. I don't care what you call it. Don't have an
Okay.
ing on the end either. Like, this is our signature search select service. With
I
this
got you. Okay.
signature search select, we don't do things like traditional stuff. Stop, just keep saying that. We're nothing like traditional stuff. The traditional agency does this. Here we do this, and this is our pricing model to that. And as you can see, traditional agencies charge like this, you end up paying this. We charge like this, you pay 10% less. And you've got to figure that out, because I don't know what that is for
Right.
you. I definitely feel like those are one-on-one coaching session type questions, but just to give you an idea, and this is where your service differentiator genuinely comes in. Because if you're including training in your packages, for, let's say, for example, and you're saying, I only place people who have at least 30 hours of this type of AI training. Everybody should be offering AI training, in my opinion. But all of our clients, all of our nurses have AI training, EMR training, and such training. I don't know. Beyond what every other agency is doing, we require all of our nurses to do this. And that we call our blank process. And with this blank process, it allows us to fill 50% more quality nurses, over an extended time period. And I want to talk to you, so you've got to start getting in that juju, and maybe even taking some of the things that I say today, take your ideas and put it around it, throw it in the chat, and ask chat how he thinks that service line can be expanded. Like, tell him what I just told you. Say, I need to create, I do staffing. I still want to do it. I need to give it a different name. I need to change the process in a way that seems different. And I need to get paid the same, but have a different pricing structure that leads the client to believe that there's a savings. And I'm going to give you a prime example of that. So most staffing agencies charge markup over pay rate. That's the pay model they use. That's the model I teach y'all, because that's the industry standard. Markup over pay rate is a percentage that is marked up on top of the candidate's pay rate. That's the client's bill rate. But there are two other models out there that I don't talk about. One is the gross margin model, and one is the multiplier. The multiplier is used for people when you're doing a VMS, when you're doing a lot of roles. They make the amount of money so tiny that you're not going to make a lot of money off of one or two people, but because it's a volume, you'll make the majority of your money off of the volume of those roles. That's the multiplier. The other one is more of a high-end model, which is the gross margin. It's the same exact thing as the markup over pay rate, but not. We build the client based on the gross margin, not based on the markup. So your markup could be 75%, but your gross margin is 43%. And so you're never even bringing up markup. So they're not even thinking about the markup. You're saying, because the markup typically is 55 to 65%. You say,
Right.
oh, well, we do everything on a gross margin, and our gross margin percentage is roughly between 38 and 48%. Oh, that sounds great. Because they don't really genuinely understand, most of them. And now it feels better. But you actually make more money with the gross margin than you ever would with the markup, right?
Oh.
So it's just a different structure so people over the years have figured out, like, people just don't like the idea of having to pay for staff, but they have to pay for staff.
Yeah, they do.
So
No way around it.
Right. So all we keep doing is changing the name to it. Changing the name and the pricing model, and this is the new model, and now everybody's on it until they get sick and tired of that model, and then they do something else. So you just got to follow the pattern and do the same thing. And I'm telling you right now, if you do that, that is what is going to help be your differentiator. And again, that's in pricing and services. And your services can be the differentiator with the same pricing model. Or if you're going to use pricing as a differentiator, then you have to create the service model to accompany the pricing model that you have implemented. Does that make sense?
Right. It could be called like premium. It's our premium package or something like that to make them think they're getting more or
Yes,
not
but don't
really.
call it premium package.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Well,
Because
I was
that's
just
more
thinking about-
like, I know, I just want to make sure, because you was thinking that, and so that's
Yeah.
probably ultimately where you're going to end up, but not like that. More
Okay.
like, let me see if I can give you a different perspective. Because that's like you're selling packages. You're not really selling packages. You're selling solutions.
Okay. Yeah. I started to say premium solutions. Yeah. Okay.
So I need to put this on my lap. I think I use my laptop on my actual legs so much, my physical legs, that I'm starting to feel like an uncomfortable feeling in my right leg from the
The pressure. Yeah.
yes,
The
from
pressure.
the laptop. I don't know if it's like if I'm getting
Sitting on a nerve.
radiation. Yeah, or sitting on a nerve or what.
Yeah.
It's something, but it's so uncomfortable. So I just propped you up. Okay. So, hi Chad. Let me not call him that. Last time he cussed me out.
Really?
He was like, that is not my name. I was like, whoa. Okay. I am working with a client and we are talking about creating very unique solutions, staffing solutions. We want to keep the same concept, but don't want to call it staffing. And we want to still make the same amount of money, but we want to change CHANG the pricing model. I have more specific ideas. However, I want to hear your thoughts. I am thinking we need to create. Well, let me just read my brain. I'm working with a client and we're talking about creating very unique staffing solutions. We want to keep the same concept of staffing, but don't want to call it staffing, and we want to still make the same amount of money, but we don't want to change the pricing model. Hear your thoughts. Just FYI, I'm thinking we need to create a new service model with a great new name. What do you think? Now, I'm going to actually I'm going to not do that, and I want to all right. Let's see. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. This guy really reads my mind in real life. I think that's why we're in love with each other secretly. Okay, so conceptually redefining your staffing services. And I was so basic and so general. You would have to make it very specific to nursing and what you want to do. I just did a very, very general. And somebody put something in the chat. Let me just say, okay, Woodline, she said she's going to pick up the kids. She's coming back. Okay, perfect. So I just put it in the chat box, what I put in there, and then you can take it and make it yours and edit it. But he says here, talent partnership solutions instead of traditional staffing. You can position your service as forming strategic partnerships with companies to address their talent needs. This shifts the focus from mere staffing to a mere integrated long-term relationship. I might use this, but I would make him pull the layers back on this because that's too simple, right? It would need to be very clear with a step-by-step process, solution, what have you. He's got service model, innovation, holistic talent management, go beyond just providing staff, offer services like talent development. I told you that. Training, performance tracking. That's another thing. Maybe you dive in and say, like, we track the people we place in your company, their performance and how they do. And we reward them for showing up every day. We reward them for being on time. We reward them for the performance review that they get with you, or like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That's good. That's definitely a differentiator.
It's a differentiator, right? And it can justify a premium pricing model. Flex staff, cater to grow need for flexible, provide clients with on demand. Everybody's doing this. Just like make it different. How can you make this different? Like, this is literally what I would say to him. Excuse me. Everyone is doing this. How can you make this different? Truly different. Why he's telling me that? Pricing model, value-based pricing. Move away from traditional per hour or per placement fees. Charge based on the value or ROI the talent brings to the client. Now, that's different, and I don't know how you would do that. It says this could involve performance metrics or strategic importance. So they're basically saying that you're doing a pay-for-performance model. That's interesting. And that's something that's definitely been tried in the past. I've seen a couple of people do it. I think it works better in sales types of roles, sales and marketing type roles versus admin roles. But but if you tied that, Brenda, into maybe the performance of the nurse, the quality that the nurse is providing, right? Patient care, then maybe that'll be a little bit different, right? You tie it into their Medicare performance or something like that. How they bill to Medicaid. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. I mean, I would just ask chat and just kind of go in.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Okay. So then they said, now the subscription model, I really think people should stay away from because I don't know if you're going to make the same amount of money. But this is one that they do. And the reason that I say that is I got a client. Her name is, she's in Texas. She's going to kill me for not remember her name right now. It's just been a while since I talked to her. But anyway, when I first met her and we set her business up, she, Looking Glass is the name of her recruiting agency. Looking Glass, like Alice in the Wonderland. We got into it so bad because she wanted to do this subscription model. She said, this is the wave of the future. This is what I want to do. I said, you can do that, but you're not going to make nowhere near as much money. Oh, D, you don't tell me. I said, great. I'm only the coach. Do you, girl? Okay. So she did her and she made probably about $400,000 her first year. And then I was coming into town and she invited me to dinner. And I was like, okay, I'll go to dinner. We get to dinner. She had gifts in hand. What did I do to deserve this beautiful elephant bookshelf she got from Africa? I mean, she put thought into the gifts. I'm like, thank you, man. I feel blessed. She said, well, I'm telling you this because I kind of got a confession to make. And I'm like, well, what's the confession? She's like, I definitely should have listened to you about the pricing. She said, I have worked my ass off all year under the subscription model and have not gotten but a quarter of worth of what I've done. If I would have kept my same model that you told me to, I would have made $2.8 million this year. I made $325,000.
Wow.
So that subscription model is dangerous. You've got to be able to figure out how to make that model work to where it makes sense for both you and them. And also your candidates, because you got to pay for them.
Yeah, that don't seem like something that would work for healthcare anyway, a subscription.
You could definitely do it. Everything is workable. It's just how you work it. But everything is definitely workable. And somebody is going to figure it out at some point. Maybe it's you, though. I don't know. But somebody is going to figure it out at some point. And then you've got the branding, Then you've got the branding. The new name should reflect the nature of your service, talent. No, you don't want you to change your company's name, but your product line can be talent synergy. Different things like that. So I don't want you to change the name of your brand, but he's doing good. Keep going, chat. Let's see. I didn't ask for none of this stuff. Anything related to AI right now is good. Offer training, skill development for the staff you place, increasing their value to the client, and I'm telling you, the way you do that is offer anything AI. Even healthcare, you should be offering some like telehealth training, right? Or or EMR training, or and I would say AI training, because I'm sure all of these healthcare platforms are going to start integrating AI. And if somebody is not familiar with it, then they're not going to be the person that they want to choose immediately.
Right.
So if you say all of our nurses go through AI training, they know how to work AI at the basic level. So any AI you integrate at any point, my nurses will be able to go into it. That's a differentiator.
That's a big one. That's a good one.
So I asked him, I said, everyone is doing this. How can you make this different? Flex staff. He said, to truly differentiate in a market where they're increasingly common. I already tell people that. The niche. That's what I said, chat. Me and you on the same page, boy. That's what I've been saying for years, y'all. I've been saying that for years. Okay. Then elite talent network. Rigorous screening.
I was thinking another differentiator I have, like the nurses that I've got on board so far, they all have at least 10 years experience. So that's another one, like they're not newbies.
Yep.
They've worked in critical care, you know, and emergency room. So that they've got a lot of skills. Yeah.
I love that. So, that is definitely a differentiator. You don't have to worry about newbies who are going from job to job to job. All of our nurses are 10 years senior. They've made a commitment. Maybe you have them sign a commitment letter. I don't know if that's legal, but we could try it. It's like because like my staff, when I hired them, I asked them, how long can I expect you to be here? Don't bamboozle me. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, I'm here for 9 months until I get another job. Okay, great. Now at least I know what's happening, right? You want to work with nurses who aren't looking to jump around, right? You want to maybe hire nurses that are looking for a home base, even if it's contractual. It's more like, I want to stay with one agency. I don't want to be registered with 50,000 agencies. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to go to a company, work there for all my shifts. So whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I do like that. I like the elite talent, bespoke staffing. Instead of one size fits all, offer customized staffing tailored to each specific client's needs. Everybody should be doing that anyway. Consultative approach, not just a service provider. Everybody should be doing that anyway. AI driven matching. That's what you do on your end, and that's all going to be about your ATS. And real time analytics is your reporting on the back end. This is something healthcare staffing agencies should try to do, like well-being programs. That's pretty cool. Hybrids is combine traditional and subscription-based pricing models, allowing more flexibility and customization for different clients' needs. That's interesting. Here again, you've got that performance-based pricing. I just want to see, because he keeps giving us the same pricing models. Okay, so I just wanted to see. Exactly. So there are a number of different pricing models that are just out there in general, and then you can take some of those and then figure out how to mix and match and create a whole new pricing model with a whole new pricing model name. I'm telling you, people just don't want the same thing, even if it's the same thing. As long as it sounds different, then they're in. We're not doing credit. Maybe. Holy smoly. Okay. Was that conversation helpful for everyone beyond Ebony and Brenda?
It was very helpful for me. I appreciate it. You gave me a lot of great ideas.
Well, I hope it was good for Lakeisha too, Lakeisha and Charles, because that's a question that they have been asking over the last couple of weeks about, taking that step, that process, that step further. And you got to remember that with the sales and business development process, there are layers to that journey. That's why we talk about the client and the candidate journey. There are literal layers of getting the person from step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4, and to keep going. It's very, and so acquiring the client, their information is totally different from actually connecting with them. You know what I'm saying? So, excuse me. So in your journey, here, I should probably do that. In your journey, these are all the things you're doing to just acquire information, just their contact information. All of these bullet points are just to acquire their contact information. Okay? Once you acquire their contact information, right in this space right here, right in this little line, is where you go to the next piece of the phase where you actually are getting them to contact, like you're getting them to contact. All of this prior to this was acquisition. All the different ways, all the different things you're doing to acquire the client's contact information and to touch them, to reach out to them, to do the initial reach out and following up until you get them to do one action and one action only. And that's to get an appointment on your calendar. That should be the bane of your existence. How many appointments can I get on my calendar with employers? Okay. And then once you get those appointments on that calendar, now the conversation is, how do I sell them? You understand? And when I say sell, don't think of it like sales and business development. More like, how do I get them to see my value? How do I learn about them and get them to see my value? How do I learn about them and get them to see my value? How do I learn about them and get them to see my value? Right? That's very, very, very important. So when you're going through the sales process, you're thinking about, how do I acquire and get them to get an appointment, get them to talk to me long enough to get them on my calendar. So it's acquire them, get their contact information. What am I going to say to them to get them on my calendar? Those are 3 different bullet points, 3 different parts of the process. Acquiring to get contact information, following up with, once I get the contact information, to get that conversation so that I can get them on my calendar. Once you get them on your calendar, now you're going to start understanding who they are and what they have going on. Don't be so quick to sell your services. Don't be so quick to throw your PowerPoint presentation out. The first thing you should be doing is asking questions. You should be asking way more questions than you should be talking. Like when I go into my fireflies, I can always tell how me and my team are doing based on how long the conversations are in fireflies. Okay? And it's like, I'll tell my sales team, I'll tell them, y'all talking too much. The client's not talking enough. Y'all are talking too much. That would be me. I be talking a lot though. But that's what I tell them. And you can see with all of the, you can go and look at the analytics, and then you can go in a topic and you can see, like, this person, so like the average talk time and different things like that. But you can go in and see how long, what the filler words are, what's the total number of questions asked. If we're not asking a lot of questions, it's a problem. Look at me. On average, I ask about 772 questions. I outdo my staff by hundreds. Do you see this? That's insane. I'm definitely talking to everybody. Lot. I'm talking to everybody. Everybody's getting it tomorrow. Why are we not asking enough questions? So it's very, very, very important that we are asking as many questions as possible. Look at me. I have the longest monologues. I can believe that. I can believe that. And then the average talk to listen ratio. Do you see that? I talk more because I'm a trainer. This is what I do. I train and coach. But my sales team should be listening more than they are talking. Because that means that they're asking more questions and letting the client or the candidate speak. Right? And so just different things like that is just like very, very important, very important as you're going through. So most people I talk to, they have a positive experience. That's nice. I like that. Really cute. And look, average words spoken per minute. Dory speaks extremely fast. I'm going to show her this. She's going to crack up. Because we always tell her that, girl, you be talking way too fast. She speaks 191 words a minute, and I'm not far behind. That's so interesting. Okay. Anyway, I was just showing y'all that because I'm geeking out. But that, you got to ask questions. You got to go in and you got to ask questions and you got to figure out exactly what's going on with them and then take those questions and convert those questions into solutions, how you can actually support them. And that's literally how the sales process works, like down to the T. I hope that was helpful. Okay.
Everything you do is helpful.
I appreciate that. I
That's
try.
true.
I try. This is the stuff I love, though, y'all. I ain't gonna lie. I love recruiting and I love sales. And I love it because it forces you to think on your feet in that moment. It's like you don't even have a minute to wait. It's like you have to figure things out in 0.1 seconds without you even realizing that you took 0.1 seconds to figure it out. That is exciting to me because that means that I'm being pushed out of my comfort zone, and that forces the level of questions to pop in my head to come in there so assertively so that, and in my brain, I'm like trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to say? What do I need to say? How do I need to say it? Now, when you're first new in the business, sometimes it's harder to do that. And that's why I encourage you to practice your services. Practice understanding your services and why somebody would want your services. When I do my presentation for staffingpreneurs, right in the beginning, I let them know like why a company would want to deal with them. Talent shortage, not enough workers, aging population, sick, compliance, volume of hiring, seasonal, expanding, vacation, looking for specific skill set, cash injection, understaffed. Is there nothing else on here? I'm missing one more. Relocation. That's another one. Relocation. People who are relocating. People who are expanding. These are all the reasons people need staffing agencies. All right. I'm living my best life right now. Relocation, expansion, and I don't know, many other reasons, right? But these are your reasons. Once you understand your reasons, then it's easier to kind of understand the client a little bit better. But maybe I can break this down in a few more layers for you. So let me think this through. So these are all the reasons why an employer would want to use a staffing agency. It's 100% true. But will you as a staffingpreneur be able to have a conversation and to be able to pull the layers back based on this alone? So the client says, you say, okay, I'm reaching out to you because, I see that there's a talent shortage. But he says, okay, let's go back. So if the client is saying to you, so my question to you is, can you hear what the client is saying and then decipher which service you would be able to provide based on that? That's the question. And when you can comfortably say, yes, I can do that, then this business is going to get a lot easier for you. And let me explain a little bit more. So if the client gives me a scenario of, I'm going to do easy. I'm having a hard time keeping people on staff full time. What service would you offer them? Anybody?
Direct hire.
Okay. Why direct hire?
If they're having trouble keeping people, they need somebody long term. So who's going to stay there? And I guess you can also tell them that your agency would help to train them and orient them and give them perks that they would want to stay. Something like that.
Okay. So anybody else? Anyone else? Anyone else? It ain't just me and Brenda on this line and Ebony. Anybody else?
Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Ava. Hey, congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay. What service would you offer?
I said tip to perm.
That's what I would
so
offer.
They can check them out, and if they like them, or if the candidate likes them, they're more likely to stay.
That's exactly right.
In a hole.
That's exactly
start all
right.
over again.
You did amazing. So Brenda, she's right. I would do temp to perm or contract to hire. Right?
Okay.
Because they said they're having a hard time keeping a direct hire staff. So I wouldn't want to go in and put more direct hire staff in if they're having a hard time. I would want to give them the opportunity to try the candidate out first and let the candidate try them out first. And then they can see whether or not it's a natural fit. If it's a natural fit, then great. Then they can convert them over to full time. If it's not a natural fit, then you can put somebody else in that position and keep putting people in the position until you can find that fit. Does that make sense?
I got you.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's do another one. If the client says that they are extremely happy with the people that they have on their staff, they don't need any help with staffing whatsoever. The only challenge that they have is that, a couple of times a month, somebody calls out sick at the last minute. Or, recently somebody just got pregnant and now they're on maternity leave. They're sick. They can't come to work because they're sick. And so every now and then, a couple of days, maybe 4 or 5 days out of the month or more, we have these slots that where we're in these positions where we don't have any staff. And we're trying to struggle really quickly to get somebody in there because of whatever reason. What service would you be thinking about offering them?
That's contract. That's contract or temporary. Yeah.
Okay. And it could also be PRN per diem.
Okay, you're right.
It can also be that as well. You know what I'm saying? Because that can fill in. They can just pick up that shift. You can just tell them, just call us. We'll have a nurse come pick up that shift when it's open, and we'll take care of that. So it can be that or contract. So that's both sides. Ava said PRN, exactly. So you've got to be able to hear what the client's problem is and be able to understand how to connect that client's problem to a solution that you offer.